Hey everybody, Jim Malone here, coming to you live on Dell's Trading Floor the one day after the holiday, the July 4th holiday. Thanks. I had a great time, by the way. I was down in Austin, seeing all the sites down there. Well, it looks like today, we're not going to be broadcasting on TikTok because it looks as if TikTok is down, believe it or not. And so kind of surprising to me, but hey, whatever. It is what it is. We seem to go through these periodic issues. So we're down on TikTok right now, so I can't broadcast there. But we're on we're on YouTube. We're not on Facebook today either. Some technical issues on that. On that as well. Boy, it seems like we are on Periscope and on Twitch. So we're some places, but we're not everywhere. We're not everywhere we'd like to be. That famous thing that Visa says, it's everywhere you want to be. Well, not quite. Not quite. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Oops, there we go. All right. So basically, just kind of want to give you a heads up on kind of where the market is at currently. Let's put up the banner here. There we go. Basically, we're almost even on the Nasdaq. We're down just a hair, but we're still above that very critical, very very critical 14,000. That 14,000 level, which is very, very critical. We're still above that. The S&P is off a little bit today. So is the Dow. Volume's up though on the Nasdaq, which is good. But basically, we're kind of, it's a sort of a sideways market, to be honest with you. And that's kind of just how it's coming around. There is one bright spot though, and of course that is Apple. And Apple's moving very, very nicely today. It's up about 1.6%, and it broke through a very key level. That key level being 137. 137 is a key level on Apple because that is a buy point. And if you trade kind of the can slim way, which I do, there's resistance places, and there's ceilings and there's floors. This was a ceiling. Apple moved through this on convincing, very nice volume here. Very, very, very nice volume. It's up, so that's looking decent. And so Apple is trading very, very nicely right now. The relative strength is getting stronger. It's 63. Of course, we typically like to see, we typically like to see Apple. We typically like to see 80 on the relative strength line, but 63. I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. It's a good number, and it's coming up. Just kind of want to show you kind of the stocks I'm in currently. I'm still in Blackstone Minerals. This is an oil. It's down a little bit today, about 0.15%. Not a whole lot. CrowdStrike, I'm in that. It's up nicely today, 4.43%. I want to cover that in just a sec. I want to cover CrowdStrike in just a second because I think it's good. Docusign, this is another stock that I'm in, and it's doing quite well. I just bought a little bit more Docusign. I think this is right below a buy point, about a 290 buy point. So this is one you might want to take a look at as well. A little bit down. L Brands, not much, just 47 cents. Microsoft, I'm down, but I'm up overall. Nike, up today, 23 cents. Not a lot. Not a lot of volume on Nike, but it's doing well. Nvidia, of course, is the story, and that's moving back up. I bought another 100 shares today. I kind of jumped the gun, bought in at about 8:30. It's pulled back. It's now about 8:27 when this was taken a few minutes ago. I do expect coming into the July 19th split, we're going to see it hopefully move above about 8:50. The people there's been a lot of speculation on this, of course, because I think a lot of the investment banks have gotten flat-footed on this one. I know that some of the people I've listened to, I'm surprised they're now coming in and talking, of a 950 target for Nvidia. When I thought, of course, that several weeks ago, but whatever. Remember, Nvidia is flitting 4 for 1. It's a leader in its category, and right now there's not a whole lot of places to go that have this kind of you know, right now there's not as many places to go that have this kind of potential. Of course, as you know, Nvidia is going to be merging with a company called ARM. It's a technology company in England, very terrific company. They make low-powered chips for servers, and this is really a key technology going forward. And of course, Nvidia is a leader in AI chips, and AI is just becoming bigger and bigger. So it's just a kind of a thing. So Nvidia is going to be splitting 4-for-1 July 19th. I do expect it to run up to about July 19th, and then I do expect a pullback. And I probably will be selling on about July 19th, and I'll be waiting hopefully for a pullback. And then when that starts moving back higher on the split shares, then I'll probably be back in again. So that's kind of my trading plan for Nvidia. Marvell Technologies down 19 cents, not a whole lot. Not a lot of volume here. This is another chip maker. I may or may not stay in this one, I don't know. Apple seems to be doing good. Apple and Microsoft both doing pretty well today. It's not showing in my Jim stocks. Yeah, it is. No, there it is. Okay, I have Microsoft. So I'm in Apple, of course. That's up. I do think we're going to see it move up to the 147 buy point. That's the next level of resistance on Apple is about 147, and then if it does move beyond there, I think we're going to see about up to about 166. But I don't expect that to happen probably until about the October timeframe. But Apple's looking good. Down a little bit on Santander. It's just down 36 cents, but the volume is incredible. I do think that there is an accumulation going on here with Santander. Down a little bit on the trade desk. This is also a good stock, but we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to hang on to it or not. Just depends on how it trades. Here is the allocation in my small portfolio as of current. And of course, number one is Docusign. And then we have Microsoft and Nike. And as you can see, these are all based on my profitability. The zero is Blackstone Minerals. I'm even on it. I'm down 1% on Santander, and I'm down 3% on the trade desk. And of course, the way this works is that I tend to consolidate, and as they move up the value chain, I always sort by most profit, and as it moves up, that's who I add to. So that's why you get this kind of ranking. I'll probably be adding to Microsoft and possibly to Nike on this one, maybe to CrowdStrike. I want to take a look at CrowdStrike as well. But you can see that's kind of how it plays out. Now, if you're interested in the exciting Dallas Trading Floor mug, and this makes a perfect gift, by the way. Makes a perfect gift. We've had 3 orders so far, and I'm excited because maybe I'll get 10 or 20 orders on this. That would be great. That would pay for it. But anyways, it's coming in. It's basically coming in probably by the end of the week. I'm going to be starting sending these out. But it's the official Dallas Trading Floor mug, and that's a $6.95. And if you go to this http bit.ly/Dallas Trading Floor and just click on that, it'll show you how to order it if you're interested in that, of course. And then, of course, for everybody that's on our Discord, special Discord service, we're going to be hopefully putting some training together soon. I'm working on this. I just haven't gotten around to everything, so that'll be kind of nice. But it's also a community of like-minded trainers, and we have special options and stock trades just for members only. And of course, direct access to me as much as I can get to everybody, try to get to everybody as they're coming online. So thanks again for that. Let's get now to some of the questions. Right, thanks for coming in. And let's see. What price is Nvidia? Okay, let's take a look at the Nvidia right now. I'm going to go to the chart, and I've marked up the chart here, by the way, for Nvidia, so that's going to be, that's going to be available. And let's take a look at the MarketSmith chart for Nvidia. Let's move into that. Okay, great. And change over to that window. All right. So here we are with Nvidia. And I'm looking at the weekly chart here, so you can see we're almost, oops, that's Apple. Help if I got the right one. That's Nvidia. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go back to the daily chart here for Nvidia. This is kind of how I've been playing it, as you can see, showing where my purchases are. I did a purchase today right at about 8:30. Pulled back a little bit. I started accumulating right about here at 648. I have a little bit of bandwidth issues here too. But one of the reasons why I decided to come in here and buy 100 shares was I was starting to see that volume come back in. Volume is so important when you're looking at you know, at add-on buys. I always want to buy when there's going to be a lot of volume. And so as you can see, this is this little blue line here. This is positive buying volume. This red line here, of course, is the average line. So anytime it comes up and hits that or goes above that, that's an awful lot of buying because this is an exponential, not a linear scale. So I want to be buying when everybody else is buying, and that's kind of the deal. I'm kind of like a little minnow. I'm just following along and seeing if I can get some good stuff. The volume's up. It's not up a whole lot, but it's up 4% over normal. And let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. As you can see, it's recovered a little bit from earlier in today. It kind of pulled back. People were taking lunch breaks, and then it came back. And so I think we're probably going to see a fairly strong finish today, hopefully. You know, hopefully, and if we do, then I think we're going to move above, hopefully, this 830 range. Now, here's the thing. I do expect when we come to July 13th, and let me kind of put that in on the chart, just kind of, you know, let me kind of put that in on the chart. So I'm going to go get the markup tool here, and I'm going to kind of just show you where I'm talking about in terms of July 19th. It's right about here, you see. So if I go up here and I kind of go here, I draw this down, and I'm going to put it at about July 19th. So I'm going to kind of move this over just a tad. There we go. All right. So that's showing us kind of the trend. I'm going to put a I'm going to put a trend line on there to kind of show you how the trend is trending with Nvidia. So let's do that right now. Hopefully I'll get that. Yeah, there we go. So it's trending kind of like this, as you can see. So to do the prediction on kind of where I think it's going to be when it splits, and of course it's July, I think it's going to be right about here, which would make it about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So this would make this at about 850 or so. So that's kind of what I'm predicting in terms of, well, maybe it's a little bit higher than that. Let's see, 1. Okay, so these are one. Yeah, these are. Okay, so this is 100. So this is 50. So I do kind of see this by about the July 19th time frame. I do see this potentially at about closing in on 900. 900 right there. So I do think that, you know, based on that, so I'm going to put that in there. I'm just going to little predict. I'm going to put a little box in there. Yes, there we go. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know, it's going to be, you know, close on 900 by July 19th when splits 4 for 1. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, but basically following this trend line here is I do think we're moving right up this trend line, and by July 19th, that's kind of where I'm triangulating. So that's kind of where I expect it to be based on the way it's been trading, as you can see. It's very, very strong trading, and as you can see, the lines are very well spread out. This is the 10-day line, 21-day exponential, 50 and 200. So as you can see, everything is lined up very nicely there. It's trading above the 10-day line, so at least into at least into July 19th. I kind of expect it to be getting kind of close to that 900 number. So I think that's very reasonable. I'm probably going to be selling when it gets there, and then probably buying back. So kind of an interesting thing. I want to take a look at Apple, because that has made a nice breakout, and I haven't added to my position. I did add last week to it. I do, but that is also starting to make a very nice move. And of course, this is Apple right here. We moved with Apple. We moved above that very key 137 level Very, very key. And then I'm showing kind of my early buy points. My early buy points were on the reversal, and then I did set the stop at 134.31, and then I've just been moving my stop up. We're currently in a buy zone right now for Apple. The buy zone basically starts at 137 and it goes up to, let's see if I can get the exact number for you. Hold on. Yeah. It goes right up to about 143.50. So if you want to accumulate Apple, not a bad time to be accumulating Apple as it pulls up into the buy zone. Now, the thing about it, you don't really want to buy it too much above about 143.50 because it could pull back basically to the buy point at 137. So this is a good time to possibly be considering going in a little bit harder on Apple in building a position. I think that we're going to see some nice movement on it. So very, very nice there. All right. Thanks for waiting on that. All right, let's look at CCL. That's Carnival Cruise. I am not a real fan of Carnival Cruise, as you probably know. Not that I don't like cruising. It's just that I think it's going to have a lot of trouble because yes, as the reopening trade happens, they're really not going to be profitable for about 2 years. And as you can see, we have fallen below the 50-day moving average, and we have not gotten a bounce yet. Now, if it's going to reverse, it's going to reverse soon. If it doesn't reverse by the time it gets close to the 200-day line, it's going to go a lot lower. But let's look at the weekly chart, because really it's the weekly chart that tells the tale. Yeah, I do think we're starting to see it move below. If Carnival cruises below 24.30, if it closes above about 24.30, it's about 50 cents away from that right now. I would be a seller. I would be a seller on this one at about 24.30 if it pulls below that. It does look like we're in a downward trend. The relative strength line is coming back. We're starting to see a lot of volume on the selling coming in. Not a good time for Carnival Cruise. So I just think you got to be careful on this one. I would set my stop losses very tight if I were in it right now, and I would consider liquidating my position at about 24.50 on that one, 24.50 on Carnival Cruise Lines. Let's look at another reopening stock, and of course this is probably the strongest of the airlines, LUV, and it is LUV is Southwest, and it is a great company based right here in Dallas. But you know, none of the travel stocks really, even though there's a lot of demand, and I do think that airlines are going to recover a lot faster than the cruise lines. This one is pulling back as well. You know, it's in a buy zone, but barely. So let's take a look at. But it's in a downward trend. Basically, I want to see if it bounces at the 200-day line. I'm not interested in this one currently. So what I'm going to do here for everyone is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a reversal line. And what I'm doing here, just so you'll know, is that I am looking to see when I'm looking to buy this if there's a change in the general direction. Currently, the trend on Love is downwards. So I'm drawing this line here from its highest high to its intermediate highest high. This, if the stock moves above this line, then it's going to be reversing higher. Right now it's not. Right now it's going down. So it has a relative strength of 53. I would definitely sell this if it moves below the 200-day line, and that 200-day line currently is at about 51.50. So we're very close to that. We're at 52.60. So on a technical basis, I would not let this fall below 51.50. That's where I'd place my stop loss on Love. So both of these, I'm not very bullish on them. They're both pulling back. I would consider possibly putting your stop loss in on Love if you're in it at 51.50. If it falls below that, I think you want to sell, just because of the technical action on it. You just don't want to, you know, get caught like that. All right, CRM. Okay, goodness, this has been falling too. This is, of course, everybody is Salesforce. I'm sure that you know this. CRM is just not looking good. It is currently in a downward trend, and it is pulling higher. But let's take a look. Let's put a reversal line in there just to see, you know, even if it's possible to buy this on the reversal. So it has reversed higher. That's definitely the case on this line. It's definitely reversed higher. So you could argue that it is buyable at this level, but I just would be very careful. It has pulled above that 250 mark, which is good. So if I was in it right now, I think I would be. You might have to sell it if you're in it right now, depending on how long you've been in it. But if you're looking to move into it, this might not be necessarily a bad time because it is pulled above that. It is pulled above that 10-day line, and that's a key level. So the question is, would I buy this one? Well, it's got a good checklist, 88%. It's got good ownership. But I really kind of want to see it come up to the buy point at 270 before I buy it. And you're in at 215, so that is okay. Well, yeah, I would hang on to it. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Bill. If you bought CRM at 215, that's an excellent buy. That's right about here. That's right about here. Here's what I would do on this. I would set my stop loss at the 10-day line. So here's what I would do on this. Well, don't sell it now. You're in a good profit position. Set your stop loss at the 21-day exponential, which is 241.90. So what I would do, Will, on this one is set my stop loss 241.90. I'm going to put that up on so you can see that. So I would set. See if I can get it here. I would set stop loss on CRM at the 21-day line, and that is. I'm just going to look at that. I would set the stop loss at the 21-day line. It's 241.80. So that's what I would do with CRM. I don't think you should sell it. Let the market decide if it's time. Let the market decide, Will, if it's time to sell it or not. Let it go. Let it run. It's looking pretty good. I would set my stop loss at 241.90, and then as it moves above, I would just keep moving that stop loss up. But that's what I would do. I would not sell this right now. You're in a winning stock, so I would not be a seller. Just keep that stop loss in there, and then if it pulls below that 241, then you would be a seller. So that's what I would do on it. That's what I definitely do on it. Even though GBTC now indicates a cardio amount crypto, I just followed the BTC. I saw something. Absolutely, that is very, very good, Kate. Thank you very much for bringing that up. This is how I trade Bitcoin. Now, I don't trade Bitcoin directly. I use the GBTC. And why do I do that? Well, because the GBTC is an ETF, and I can do all kinds of things with an ETF. I can sell options against it. I can do all kinds of things. Just anything I can do with a stock, I can do with an ETF, and GBTC is an ETF. Now, here's the problem right now with Bitcoin. The way I'm seeing it here, based on the way that GBTC is trading, we are in a downward trend. I have driven the trend line there. We have not broken the trend line. So currently, it is not a good time to be going into it's not a good time to be going into Bitcoin. It just isn't based on this. This is what it's telling us. It's basically telling us we have a strong relative strength line, but we're still in a downward trend. The trend on the GBC is downwards. So that means that because it is downwards, we have to be very careful because because with a downward trend, we just don't want to be buying into we just don't want to be buying into Bitcoin. Let's just take a quick look and kind of see where the Bitcoin price is. And I want to take a look at this. Yeah, okay, so we're still in the channel. And basically what's happened, basically what's happened with Bitcoin is that it's sort of in this channel from about 30,000 on up to about, on up to about 40,000. And right now, as of, basically as of today, it was trading at 34.90. It's off a little bit off on the one month chart. I want to kind of look at the 5-day chart, see how it's trending. Yeah, and it's still trending. It's just in this channel between about, well, actually 31, 32 in here, actually a little bit more, about 32.50 on up to about, looks like even about 34. So it's in a tighter channel. As the channel narrows, we're likely to see a breakout, probably the upside or downside. I'm looking at the downside based on the GBTC chart. So, looking at the GBTC chart, what I think we're going to get is we're going to get a narrowing in the price of Bitcoin between, right now it's trending between about 32 on up to about 36. When that narrows down to about $1,000 or $1,500 spread, then it's going to move either up or down. And based on the GBTC, I'm saying down based on what I'm seeing on that chart. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the short-term move of Bitcoin. I do expect we're going to have a downward move, and I do think we're going to have it probably within a week or two based on the way the price is trending, at least from what I can see. At least from what I can see. So, great question on crypto. Um, the one to follow, of course, is the GBTC, because that is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is the predominant, the leading crypto. So that's definitely what you want to see on. Right now, the Bitcoin to dollar price is between 32,000 and about 36,000. Currently, it's trading about 34. As that narrows, as that narrows on a day-to-day or a weekly basis, then it's going to move decisively up or down. I suspect it's going to move down based on the GBTC chart. So that's a very, very good question. Question from Jeet on Chewy, and of course Chewy is sort of Pets. I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but I was actually in Silicon Valley when Pets.com was happening, and and Pets. Oh, I'm sorry, Chewy, CHE. Oh, okay. I had Chewy's Holdings. That's the Mexican restaurant. I really like Chewy's, as you can tell. I probably like it too much. But let's look at Chewy, the CHWY. Chewy's restaurant is a local here in Dallas. Well, it's a chain, but it's very good. It's a very good Mexican restaurant. If you're into Mexican food like I am, it's definitely a good one. It's Tex-Mex. This isn't really truly Mexican food. So let's look at Chewy, the company that is sort of like, used to be like Pets.com. See how it's doing. Well, it's pulled above the 200-day moving average. I still don't like this stock at this level. I still don't like it right now because it's just not powerful enough for me. I really want to see it move above about 92 or so before I'm interested in it again. It definitely has reversed, but kind of weakly. It's moving sideways. The relative strength is only 59. I'm not really liking that. If you look at the relative strength line, I want to show you this. I'm going to draw a line here, and this line basically is where the relative strength line is today and where it's been. Well, it's been a lot higher. It's been a lot higher. So here's the thing about this on the checklist, and this is something I don't like about it, is that it's off of its high. It's 15% or more off of its high. So if I wouldn't be initiating a position here. If I did have a position, I would be pushing my stop loss up. If I had a position in this one right now, and I wouldn't be buying this right now, but if I had a position in this one right now, I would set my stop loss right now at about 81.25. We're currently at 84.42. That's kind of how I see Chewy. So I wouldn't be accumulating it here. If I had Chewy, I would be moving that stop loss up to about 81.45. That's where I'd be. All right. Question on Ford. An F. An F is a tough one to play. I was in Ford. I got shaken out. It's back down again. Tesla's weak too, so the automobile sector seems to be adjusting here a little bit. I want to take a look at Tesla chart right after this one, but right now, Ford made all that great gain, and it's fallen back, and it's almost back down to the buy zone. The top of the buy zone right now is about 1444. So we're at 1453. Here's the thing. Depending on where you bought it, I would consider putting a stop loss in on this one at the at the 50-day line. Here's what I would do. If I own this one right now, I would put a hard stop loss in at 1373, because 1373 is where the 50-day line is. If it falls below that, then it is definitely heading lower. Right now it's heading sideways. So not a good time to accumulate in Ford. I would be setting a stop loss on this one right now, basically at the 50-day line, or at about or at about 1375 or so. That'd be where I was setting my stop loss. So I would don't let your losses pile up on this one. It does look like it's moving back, unfortunately, on Ford. I want to take a look at Tesla because it did. It was moving nicely. I have not been in Tesla. I've been waiting kind of for it to break out, to make a move. And I think I have a note on the reversal line. So basically, here's what I'm seeing on Tesla. I've drawn these lines here. I have this line of resistance. This isn't a true buy point here. This is a sort of a temporary buy point. What do I mean by that? This is a line of resistance, and it didn't punch through it. I would only buy it if it moved above this line of resistance. You see, and it wasn't able to do it. So hopefully it'll make another try at it, and it'll push above this line of resistance. But I would not be not be going back into Tesla unless it moved above at least 509 709, possibly 710. So I just would be waiting on this one. It looks as if there's, again, just a lot of overhead supply here, and it's just going to have trouble getting through that level. I really am not a buyer on Tesla until it moves above about 780. So again, but I think it will. It just needs time. I'm afraid it just takes time to happen. Question on XELA. XELA. Let's take a look at XELA. XELA. And that is interesting. Provider of transaction processing. Okay. This is another trend. There's a lot of competition in this space. By the way, I was just down in Austin this weekend, and there's an interesting thing down there. It's actually up here in Dallas too, but I noticed it more down in Austin. It's a company called Toast, and they seem to be very, very big in the restaurant space, and it's kind of cool. They automate. It's a cloud-based service. Kind of automates everything for that restaurant. The reservation, when you go in, you just you use your iPhone or your Android to take a picture of the QR code, and it comes up with the menu, all that kind of stuff. Kind of cool. Definitely a lot of people are using it, so interesting one. But this is a very crowded space, and this stock, it's just too cheap for me at 293. I just am a little bit scared of this one. I'm more interested in a stock that's a little bit better in this space. I know that you're probably not going to like me saying this, but I think that when you want to look at a Square, I just think it has a better chart, even though I'm not a buyer of Square right now. But instead, in this payment space, there's several really standouts. Of course, Square is in there, and of course, PayPal. Now, I do have for full disclosure, I do have a spread on PayPal. I think PayPal is the superior one, even in the payment space. It's funny. I mean, I was down in Austin, as I said, and I used PayPal. I just use PayPal. It's just second nature. I think I've had a PayPal account for over 20 years. I mean, I literally had it like, back in the 90s, if you can believe it, when I started out. So it's just continues to do well. This has a cup with handle formation. If you're looking for something in the payment space, and I do think the payment space is the place to be. I don't think the banks are the place to be. I think the payment space and possibly the low-end consumer finance area are the place to be, because I also think that Santander Consumer is also very good in this space. I don't think the banks like J.P. Morgan and Chase and Bank of America are very good right now. I think that in this space, in the payment space, I really like PayPal. I'm not as excited about MasterCard or Visa, by the way. I do think that this is the future. This is where you ought to be looking. The relative strength is moving up. It's currently 78, and at 80, of course, it checks all the boxes. But right now, it's checking an awful lot of them. It's an 88 percentile. 88 out of 100. So the only thing that isn't checking right now is the relative strength, and it's at 78. It's 2% off of that. So I just see continued strength in PayPal. I really do. And if you want to be in the payment space, I know that it's tempting The other one's tempting because it's a it's a very inexpensive stock. But be careful with those inexpensive stocks. If you're on the action trade alerts, by the way, I'm going to be sending out a listing of high quality low price stocks. It's much harder to buy low price stocks because they typically don't have nearly as good of of a profile as the other stocks. So you got to be careful. What I do is I send out periodically. I send out to my list of everybody that's on the action trailers. I send out the under $10 list because I am trying to find only ones that I think have the potential, the relative strength that's high enough. And if you're not on that list, easy to get onto www.sendfox.com/Dallas Trading Floor. And I'll probably be putting that. I'm hoping I'll put it out that tonight. I got kind of rushed on the weekend. I was going to put it out, but I didn't, and I apologize for that. But that's a good way to go on the lower price stocks if you're interested in those lower price stocks that are potentially very highly rated. And you really want to go with the highly rated ones. It's just easier to make money that way than it is the other way. Okay, so let's take another look. Thoughts on Upstart? Should I sell it at 121.50? Just don't know where you bought it, but let's look at the chart on it. You know, huh? Thoughts? Should I sell it or stay in? At 121.50. You know, I would. This looks like to me. This chart looks like we're going to have. Yeah, it's still very, very strong, but this is a very volatile stock. Um, you know, I have basically a sell in here. I'm going to reactivate that at this price. I had my stop. If at 115, we're just really close to that. I think you could stay in it, but here's the thing. I think you got to put a stop loss on this one, and I think you got to draw a line in the sand. And I think at the absolute minimum, you want a stop loss at 115. I think maybe even 117 for this one. So that's kind of where I would be at. We would be at it at. I would be at that level, just because I think that it's very, very volatile, and I think that it may be better merchandise right now than Upstart. I was thrown out of it. Good question, KLIC. I was stopped out of this one today. I sold out when it went 6% down. I'm very strict on that on my portfolio. If you'll notice, you probably didn't notice it in the small portfolio, but I'll hopefully switch back over there. But it's this. What happened is we had a test of the we had a test today of the 50-day line. Not a fun thing to happen. It did bounce right up, so there's a lot of you can tell that there's a lot of programmatic trading in this. If you'll notice, it went right down. It went from the 10-day line all the way down to the 50-day line, and it bounced. So I do think we're going to see some support, probably at about the buy point on it, and the buy point on it, of course, is 57.50. So here's the thing. I think that it might be a good idea to lighten up on this right now. I would definitely not move into this anymore. I think that this is losing, from what I can tell. I think we're going to be trading down a little bit on this one. I'm also looking at the relative strength line, and that's headed south as well. So it does appear to me that this one is starting to lose strength in this. It's probably a good time to sell it. It's probably a good time to sell this one because it is losing strength, and it appears that it's bounced on the 50-day line, but it looks like if it reverses lower, and I think it's very likely to, it's going to go lower. So here's what I would do. I wouldn't sell it immediately. I would stop pushing. I would get my stop loss in. I would set my stop loss on this one. I'm gonna put an alert on here. Let's see. I'm gonna look to see. Let's look to see exactly where it closed. Okay, so it closed at 55.61. I would put my stop loss at 55. And then if it pulls back tomorrow, you'll be out. If not, then you'll still be in it. You can move it up. But here's what I would do with this. Here's what I would do with this one right now. I would pull this back here. Pull this down here. I would set my set stop loss at 55. That's what I would good till cancel GTC, because it is moving up here a little bit, but the overall trend, the overall trend right now is downward for this issue. So I would be setting my stop loss right, and I'll show you this, at 55, and that's sort of exactly where I'd be putting it in, right about there, just a tad above the 50-day moving average. I think that's where you got to cut losses on this one if it pulls back. It looks like it's trading sideways. Hopefully that'll be the case, but you don't want to get caught flat-footed on this one. You want to make sure that you're at a good place to stop, and I think the stop was prudent at about that level. So there you go. Okay, next question. Thank you. SVNA. 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 And let's see if did I get that right? SVNA. No, CV. Sorry, CVNA. Sorry about that. There we go. Carvana. Carvana seems to be doing great. I saw a Carvana delivery this weekend. It was kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, based on this chart, Carvana seems to be doing good. Seems to be doing the right thing. You could. I'm drawing an aggressive. I'm going to try an aggressive reversal line here, and it's definitely above that aggressive reversal round, right below the buy point. The buy point is 323. So this is buyable. This is buyable. You could even add to this if it moves above 323. So wow, that is looking. That's looking good. So this is buyable right now. So interesting. I wouldn't have said that for Carvana, but again, I'm a technical trader. I'm more interested in the chart action than I am in the company, and this is good, very very good chart action. 88 relative strength. This is looking strong. You could accumulate here. 88 checklist, very nice. Very nice. Here's what I would do. If you bought at this level, I would start putting my stop loss right in about at the 20 about at the 21-day line. Let's get that in there. Hold on. I have a little bit of bandwidth problem. Okay. So if I did that, I would probably be putting a stop loss in at about 295. That's pretty wide. So this is buyable right now at this level, right below the buy point, but we're off as we're moving through a reversal. This is a good way to buy, and Carvana is good stock based on the chart. Based on the chart, it is a very good stock. So there you go. Amazing, amazing. All right. Okay, I'm going to take this one. Frank J. Apple price this week, 145. Good question. Let's see. This is going to be a short week, of course. Because we only it's a 4-day trading week. But I do kind of see us move above, and I'm going to put a temporary line. I'm going to kind of see. This is a little crystal ball action here. So let's kind of see if we can get an idea of where. Yeah. So I do believe by the end of the week, yeah, I definitely think we could see 245. I definitely think we could. We're 242 right now, so could we see 245? Yeah, I think we can. I definitely think we can. So I would say yes. I would definitely say yes on 245 by the end of the week for Apple. I think that's very, very in line. Very, very in line with things there. So 245 with Apple, that looks like an absolutely doable number for me. All right, question. Any stocks, what stocks do you recommend this week? Well, I will show you some stocks that I, of course, really like. Now, this one's very expensive, and it's really not a good time to get into it, but I do think it's going to accelerate before July 19th. And, of course, that's Nvidia, NVDA. And I did buy 100 shares this morning. I will probably sell those on by the 20 by the July 19th. But right now, Nvidia I do think is looking pretty good. It's sticking about this 830 level. Hopefully, it'll move past that. So I definitely kind of recommend Nvidia. Also, Apple is setting up very, very nicely as well. This is another one I recommend, Apple. I think you possibly will do well with this one at this level. This is a very good time to buy it. The other one that I really like is Docusign. DOCU is the symbol on that. I've been increasing my position on Docusign. It is currently right at a buy point. And this is the one I really want you to focus in on, is Docusign. And DOCU is the number there. So Docusign is the one that I think you really should look at, Andreas, for this. That would be a very good number, to possibly start looking at it at. Okay, let's look at some other ones. Look at a credit spread. Very good question. Thank you very much. I am doing well, by the way. Came back on a nice vacation. Thank you very much for that comment. Any credit spread suggestions on Nvidia? Good question. I do think that we are going to see Nvidia move to about the 790 level before. Well, no, excuse me. To about the $900 level on or about the end of July. So I do think that it will split 4 for 1 on the 19th. So I will see if I can put together something for you on that credit spread on Nvidia. All right. And that would be a very quick one. So I do have several of those, but and I am in several of them myself, but I don't know if a new one. I may put together a new one as well. Thank you. Everybody was telling me banks are going to drop this month. That's true, actually. I think so. A lot of the banks are in trouble. The big money center banks are the one you really want to watch out for. Bank of America being at the top of the list. Of course, J.P. Morgan. They're not gonna go out of business, obviously, but I don't think that they're as strong. Let's take a look at B of A. So BAC is of course the symbol for Bank of America. And it's starting to pull back here. This is the daily chart, and as you can see, we're starting the beginning of a downward trend. It looks as if it could not hold the 50-day line, and so unfortunately, this is probably going to pull back. I suspect we're going to see it come down below 38. That's my guess. Probably 38, 37 is going to be where it's at. But right now, I don't think, at least in the very, very short term, I think the money center banks are not doing all that well. So you got to be careful with them, but that's a good thing that you mentioned that. Let's look at IQV. Let's look at IQV. And IQV is biopharmaceutical development. And this is a biotech. I am not a fan of biotech stocks, as you know. I think they're very hard to trade. There's more biotech companies out there than any other group. So this is a tough one to trade. I probably would not be a buyer of this, even though it's a decent chart. What I would instead do, and what I'd instead do is look at some of the stocks that might benefit from this kind of development. One of the stocks that I really like is a company called Viva Systems, and its symbol VEEV. That one I think is buyable. It provides the drug development pipeline software. And this one is moving into a buy point. Currently, there is a buy point on this one at 225, a buy point. So this is definitely buyable right now. So instead of buying the biotech, why not buy the picks and shovels play? And that's Viva Systems. And it's moving on a new all-time high. Now, the only concern that I have with Viva Systems, it's recovering from a relatively weak relative strength. Currently, the relative strength is only 59 on this one, so it's not as powerful as it's been on, it's been in the past. So that's something to look at. But and here's the chart of Viva Systems. You see, nice trend. There is a buy point at 326. 326 on Viva Systems. Is a good buy point. So instead of going for the biotechs directly, why not go for the biotech software company that everyone is buying their stuff, that might be a bad idea. Hi, last week you suggested entry for Neo at around 57. Let's take a look at Neo. You know, the problem is the auto groups have just not been doing as well as I would have liked to have seen it. Neo, I am personally, I'm not in Neo, and I haven't been in it for a while. I still think that if it doesn't get beyond about 57, that's right here with this. I just don't think it's viable. Right now, it's been pulling back. You know, I'm pretty much sticking to that. If it moves above about 57.20, then I think it's moving higher. But right now, it's going sideways. So for Viva, for Neo, I think I just wouldn't be in it right now, unfortunately. I know a lot of people really, really like this one. Okay, thoughts on Yeti? Potential buy point at 91.18, 94.18. Let's look at Yeti. Um, and this is all. This is based in Austin. Interestingly enough, too. This is, of course, very into some products for outdoors. People really, really like this brand. Um, you know, it's okay, but it's extended right now. So Blake, I like Blake Edwards. Is that really your name? I really like that name. That's, of course, a famous director who directed the Pink Panther series. If you probably know that. But anyways, with Blake, right now it's going sideways. It's still a pretty good stock, but I think it's extended. I think the time to have bought this was when it was moving above about 80, 89. That was the time to be in it. Right now, I think that it's just not as above 84. I don't think it's viable. I think you're going to have to wait for another base on this one. So I would watch list this one. I would not buy it at this level, and I think that's kind of what you got to do on this one, unfortunately. All right, let's look at SCVL. Of course, this is Shoe Carnival, and this one will be splitting for 2-for-1 on the 19th of July. I did have a play on this one, and that may or may not I may or may not have been right about this one. It does appear to be holding up after hours, just barely at 69.80. Hopefully it'll bounce here. Who knows? It may pull as low as 62 before it bounces. I hope it bounces before then. That's kind of what it's looking like to me, anyways. But I'm still in it. As you can see, it kind of has a tendency to bounce at the. It kind of has a tendency to bounce at the 21-day line. So let's take a look to see kind of where it bounced. Okay, 69.44. So it bounced right at the. It bounced right at the. It's interesting. It bounced right at the 21-day line. So it does appear we're going to be hanging out on the 21-day line, hopefully, and it will reverse higher. But right now it's in a little bit of a micro downtrend. Overall, it's an uptrend. The stock is overall in an uptrend, but it's in a micro downtrend. So hopefully it'll pull higher. I haven't. I've been closing a bit of my positions. I closed half of one of my spreads. And I may close the rest, but right now I'm still holding it, and hopefully it will move higher. I hope so, or else I'm going to be very sorry. No, I'm going to reduce my position before that happens. All right, so let's see. I haven't reviewed BABA. Some of the Chinese stocks have been, they've just been. It just hasn't been like it was last year. BABA is in a long-term decline. Well, not in a long-term trend, but in a downward trend. It just right now is not a buy. I'm going to reactivate the trend line, and of course, what this is that again it pulled right to the trend line, and it is up after hours at 10 cents. But the overall trend of this is downward. Unfortunately, it made an attempt last week to break out of it. It failed, and then it pulled back down. So I'm seeing a lot of selling going on here. I know that DD.com is run into some very big issues, Mark. So right now, the Chinese stocks right now, are just too risky. I just think you need to probably pull back from the Chinese stocks a little bit. You just really do, because they just aren't trading right. You can make money on them, but there's other opportunities that I think are stronger right now. I just think they are. Let's look at Marathon Oil. Marathon Oil is looking good, by the way. Marathon Oil is looking very good, Jay. it does have a little bit of resistance at 14, but and it is a little bit extended. The buy point on Marathon was this cup with handle formation at 1234, which was very good, and that was a great place to buy. There was almost no chance to buy it though. It just zoomed up, and it was just, it moved it moved above that range so quickly. But I do think this one is trending higher, so I would not be out of this one. This is not a perfect place to buy it. I'll be honest with you. I but see if we pulls back and it reverses. I don't think it's going to pull back all that much, but it might pull back a little bit more. I still think this is a good stock and this is a great chart. So, very very good on that. I think at least in next 6 months, I think Marathon ought to be doing very 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 well. Let's look at Tesla. Um, and that really is, last year basically the automobile manufacturers were just totally dominated by Tesla. They still are. This is the highest valued company, and unfortunately there's a spat going on in China. This is one of the reasons why there's a little bit of risk in the Chinese stocks right now, in that they're trying to knock down Tesla. Tesla is such a superior product to just about anything else on the market in the electric vehicle area. You just have to. I mean, the way I view it, there's in electrical vehicles, there's Tesla, and then there's everything else. It's just still the better stock. Now, that said, with Tesla, we have this line that I've drawn along here. This is not a reversal line, by the way, but this is sort of Jim's reversal line. This is the line that I want to see it move above. It really is not viable, I don't think, until it moves about above 780. So it's painful as it says. I think you got to sit this one out. If you do have if you do have some Tesla, you might want to consider putting a stop loss at about 660, because I don't think it should fall. Hopefully that you want to draw a line in the sand on there. So that's kind of my view on that. All right, we have two last questions. One is Churchill Capital CCXI, and then of course Micron. Let's first take a look at CCXI. I am not a fan of this stock. I'll be honest with you. This is a SPAC. This is by Bill Ackerman, and I think he's a little bit of a snake, to be honest with you, but I can't seem to bring it up. But let's bring up Micron MU. And MU is trending downward, unfortunately. I have not made money. I've tried on this one so many times. This is a great company, but for some reason I can't. It's like AMD. I've never been able to figure this one out or play it right. It's in a downward trend. I think they had excellent earnings. The earnings were up 122%, but it's in a downward trend. So I'm going to stay away from this one right now, just because I think it's not at the right place. It's not the right place. Let me see if I can get up CCXI. Probably be my last question for today, because we weren't able to broadcast on TikTok today. They're having some technical difficulties here. And this has developed interesting. I don't is it CCXI, CCIX? Oh, it's CCXI. Excuse me. This is another kind of penny stock. It is $14 penny stock. That's not fair. This has got a relative strength of 1. I just think you got to be very very careful with this one. I would avoid this one. Well, everybody, it's running at about an hour here. I gotta probably sign up for today, but thanks everybody for taking a look today. I'll be back at 3:30 Eastern tomorrow, 2:30 Central, and with all your questions. Try to get all your questions. If you're not on the action trailer, it's a great idea. It's easy to get on, and just have to go to www.sendfox.com/Dallas Trading Floor. So until tomorrow at 2:30, thanks again for taking a look, and I will be back tomorrow with more of totally answering more of your questions. Happy trading.